quick. Myself and the good fella Devin, who you might have seen on this channel, he appears every now and then. My partner in crime became used car dealers, and it took almost 8 months, which is unbelievable. And I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but I used to be in the car business years ago, over a decade ago, and the economy went bad, so I folded, and for some ungodly reason decided to go to law school, and now, thanks to that, I'm drowning in student loan debt, and so I'm still paying for it, both literally and figuratively. But good fellow Devin convinced me to become a used car dealer, so he wanted to get into the car business. He doesn't know anything about the car business, I have years of experience, and I initially didn't want to do it, but then he's like, oh, come on, let's try it, we'll have some fun. It's like, okay, let's, what do we got to lose? Well, 8 months of my time trying to do all the paperwork, and I have the list here, and I will, I'll post it in the description, and if anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to help. Maybe I'll make the process a lot faster for you and just avoid some pitfalls. This list that I showed you earlier is a list from DMV, and it's the updated list from 2019, and there's a lot of stuff that you gotta get. And I'm gonna be honest with you fellas, I have been an attorney for quite some time, and I do not remember having to fill out this much paperwork and having to jump through so many hoops to become a lawyer versus becoming a used car dealer. So without any further ado, let's jump into the list. Number one is the application, which has to be filled out. It has to be notarized. Blah blah blah. It's not a very difficult application to fill out. It's only a couple of pages. That's not a big deal. But before you do that, before you can do the application, the number one thing that you need to do is location. And here's the problem with Florida, and I don't know how other states are, but everything in here is so fucking regulated that it is just absolutely ridiculous. And I understand, I get it. They don't want Joe Schmo selling used cars out of a trailer or out of his backyard or something like that. So number one is location, and the trick here is that the location must be DMV approved. So for you to get a DMV approved location, it has to be zoned properly. So before you can even have the DMV inspector come out and look at your location, you have to get a place that is approved by city, counties. I mean, it's ridiculous. So you have to keep in mind that cities have different zoning requirements. Counties have different zoning requirements, because depending on where you find the location, whether it's incorporated city, unincorporated county, whatever, it has to be zoned for used car sales, and not every location is. So be very, very careful, and this is very important, because you would go on, let's say you find a warehouse or some lot somewhere, and the landlord says, oh yeah, this is good to go for a used car dealership. You sign a lease, and you find out later when the DMV inspector comes in, it's like, no, or you go through the city, like, nope, you can't do it here, and you're basically fucked, because you just signed the lease, and you can't do business. So very, very important. And I give you an example. For us, we got a location in the city of Hollywood, and you had to go actually get an occupational license, but City of Hollywood calls it certificate of use. You basically go to the city, you go to the planning and zoning department, you submit an application, you pay a fee. Everything is a fee, there's money everywhere. So you pay it was like $150, you pay them, and they look at it. It's like, okay, this address is within the zoning, you're good to go to issue your certificate of use. Now, step number two, with that certificate of use, you have to fill out another application for DMV, not the actual application for the license, but application for site inspection. So that's another 4 or 5 pages that you gotta fill out, and you gotta take pictures of the site, outside, inside, parking area, this, that, office space, blah, blah, blah. You send it to them, to the DMV. Once you do that, the DMV inspector, at their leisure will show up, or they will call you. I mean, it depends. If the location that is in the area that the DMV inspector knows is good to go for used car dealers, you wouldn't have a problem. But if it's not, they would come out, they'll call you, blah blah blah. In our case, we were in a commercial area where a bunch of dealers around us, so they knew. I sent them a bunch of pictures, and they just drove by the location, and then they approved it. So this is before you can even get to the actual application. The next step is you have to get garage liability insurance. This is commercial policy that you need to get, and the minimum requirements for licensed car dealers in Florida is $25,000 property damage. You need to have $25,000 bodily injury, and obviously personal injury protection, PIP, $10,000. And that's the minimum coverage. Now, the insurance is very, very expensive. We decided to go with a little bit more protection. We also opted for collision and comprehensive because, if you're dealing with cars that are, over $10,000, if something happens to it, you don't want to take a hit. That's why we have insurance. But the trick here is that the DMV will not accept your application until you purchase the insurance. So you have to go and purchase all these things that they want you to purchase before you submit the application. So you have to go spend thousands of dollars on this process and then submit an application and then, pray to God that they actually approve it. So, which is insane. Nowhere else they would make you do this. So anyway, so you purchase insurance, and the insurance was pretty expensive. In our case, it was almost $6,000 a year. Another requirement is that you need to have a surety bond of $25,000 or letter of credit. Now, what surety bond does is it basically protects the public, the general public. Like if you're screwing them around, or if you're committing fraud or whatever it is, a person can make a claim against your surety bond or a irrevocable letter of credit from the bank. Now, the surety bond the price of the surety bond depends on your credit. Now, myself and Goodfellow Devin, we have good credit, so the surety bond was very cheap. It was like $300 for like 2 years, which is, really, really cheap. So again, you have to purchase that before you actually go and submit an application. So let's see what else is on the list. Besides you have to do fingerprints. All officers have to do fingerprints. Through the FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. You go to an approved site, they take your prints, and they give you a receipt, and it's valid for 6 months. So, that's another thing. Copy of driver's license of all the officers, and that's, basic thing, but you also have to obviously register a corporation. If you want to be a corporation, or if you want to have a fictitious name, all of that has to be registered through the Sunbiz. We have something called Sunbiz in Florida, and you have to do all this corporate paperwork and all that crap. So that's another step right there. Now, if you're leasing the location, you need the proof of lease or proof of ownership. And I already mentioned the Sunbiz documents. And here's number 4 on the list here. It says dealer school. Must be done within 6 months of submission of application. Now, I'm a lawyer, so the way I read it, it's like, okay, so I can submit my application and then within 6 months do dealer school. It's basically dealer training. You gotta take a class. So, and this is exactly what happened to me, because that's how I interpreted the sentence, but it was written by a bunch of idiots, so they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I did all my paperwork, I gathered everything that I need to gather, except the dealer school certificate, and I went to the DMV and they said, where's your dealer school certificate? And I was like, well, it says here I can complete it within 6 months. They go, no. It means that it's valid for 6 months. It's like, well, that's not what this fucking thing says. Again, they gave me a little bit of runaround, but it's not too bad. So that's another requirement. You have to complete school. It's like, 14 hours, 15 hours, bunch of crap, you gotta listen to. You can do it online. So that's another like $150. So, and what I'll do is I'll tally it up, at the end, see, how much, it all costs. What else? Let's see. Photos, we got that. Dealer site pre-inspection, we got that. Oh, the application fee is $300. And also, yeah, you gotta get a sales tax receipt from Florida Department of Revenue. It's basically your resale certificate, because you'll be collecting tax on the cars that you sell that you need to pay to the Florida Department of Revenue. Now, here's the kicker. I did this. I obtained a Florida resale certificate months ago before I actually submitted the application, and the Florida Department of Revenue is still blowing up my phone. They want me to pay taxes on something that I haven't even sold. I haven't even been licensed as a car dealer. We haven't purchased anything yet. And the Florida Department of Revenue is like, okay, you need to pay us tax. Like, tax on fucking what? We haven't sold anything. We haven't collected shit. So I finally submitted the paperwork, putting zeros everywhere, and they're like, well, what the fuck? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean, what the fuck? We just got licensed a week ago. We haven't been in business. Just because I obtained the sales certificate, that doesn't mean I'm actually conducting business. But they don't care. They just want their money. So that, and you need FEID, which is Federal Employer Identification Number, which you can obtain, from the feds. So that's your basic list of things that you need to do. But all of that took a long time, because each one of those steps requires time. So again, I'll post a list. If anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to DM me through Instagram or message me here or post a comment. But what I'm doing right now is actually I'm going to the auction. I'm going to Mannheim, Palm Beach, and Mannheim, I don't know if anybody knows, is one of the largest auction houses in the country, if not in the world. And I like their Palm Beach auctions on Thursdays. It's dealer only, and I'm gonna go check it out, look at some cars, see what I can do. But for the most part, my prediction is that I will not be able to buy anything because prices at the auctions are usually higher than prices are on the street. And I don't know how these dealers make their money, because a lot of them do buy here, pay here, and they make money on the interest. But I just don't know. It's we'll see how it goes, and I'll take you guys with me. All right. Well, fellas, I made it to the auction. I was a little bit late. Haven't been here in about 15 years. They changed some procedures and whatnot, so been looking at cars, trying to see. I have a list of cars with me. And the other thing is that here's a word of advice. It's been raining, so number one rule of car buying is you never want to buy a car in the rain, because you can't see the paint, you can't see any blemishes, and you never want to buy a car at night either. So, but let me try to see if I can get something here. All right, and catch you in a second. Well, fellas, I left the auction. I was getting frustrated, so look who decided to show up, Mr. Incredible right here.
I came to the rescue.
He came to the rescue. Yeah, I left the auction because and this is exactly what I warned you about before we started this, venture, is that the prices were like outrageous. It was absolutely crazy. But like I promised, I'm gonna do a tally up of everything we have spent so far. We haven't bought anything. We haven't even made a dime. But we're probably about $8,000 into it, right?
I think more.
Probably more, yeah.
Probably more.
And this is a eight months process. So almost more than $8,000 into it, and we're still basically jerking it, so. But that's the thing, that people think that the car dealer business is like, oh my god, I'm gonna go to the auction, I'm gonna buy a car for $1,000, I'm gonna sell it for $10,000. It doesn't work like that, The dealer auctions are filled with smart guys just like us, right? Everybody's a fucking genius, right? So
it makes sense now why people steal cars.
that's right, there's less competition.
Steal it.
Yeah, but just to sum it all up, we have the insurance was the most expensive thing, which is about $6,000. Then we had the Surety Bond, which was about $350. We have the dealer application fee, which was $300. The dealer school was $150. Then we had to sign up for the Florida ETR. They give you like the temp tags and all that stuff. You have to do it, and that's not $150. Then we had the city occupational license, or city like certificate of use. That was another $150. We had the corporate shit. We had to do the Sunbiz garbage, incorporation, whatever. That was another fucking $300-400.
Yeah, I think it's 300.
Rent. We had to pay rent, so that was another $300, which is due again this month. Then what else?
You forgot the fingerprinting.
The fingerprinting was $100 each.
Right.
Yeah, which is fucking ridiculous, because we're already in the system. We're fucking lawyers, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck do you need fingerprints for?
Yeah, the fingerprinting, and then you forgot the we got hit with a tax penalty.
Yeah, we
because we
had to
didn't pay sales tax and we didn't nothing
Yeah,
we bought.
we had to pay $50 penalty on something that we didn't sell. We literally haven't bought or we haven't engaged in any business yet, but the Florida Department of Revenue still fucked us over for $50 because we didn't submit the quarterly taxes and show them that we made nothing. You know, so it's you know.
And did you say rent? I don't remember. If you said
Yeah, I said rent.
You said rent.
There was something. I know there was something else.
There's just too many things.
Yeah, there was another like.
And with the corporate, since it's now rolled over to 2020, we got to pay it again.
We gotta pay it again.
Even though
Oh,
it's
I
brand
forgot. The auction charged me, my wife, and you $100 each. They have a new thing now going on. You have to pay annual membership fee. So it's all fucking $300.
Right, and then we're looking into Carfax, which is going to cost a lot.
Carfax,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, and
we haven't done it yet.
Yeah, we haven't signed up for Carfax because that shit's gonna cost a fortune.
I mean, we pretty much did everything. We have to still give semen samples and blood samples.
Yeah,
you know,
and stool samples.
And then we got to sell our soul. I don't know.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And just so you guys understand, we haven't bought anything, we haven't sold anything, and we just spent 10 G's, you know?
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling, you know?
Yeah.
Like how a small guy supposed to make a living, you know? It's just crazy. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. There's something else I'm forgetting.
I don't know.
Yeah, there was some fucking else, some other shit they had to pay somewhere, you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, somebody somewhere has fucked us.
Yeah. Lost track. It's
Yeah.
just crazy.
Yeah. So
So
well, there you
see.
go.
I mean,
Yeah. If
we'll give it a couple more tries.
Yeah.
Go back tomorrow, maybe next week, and if not, I'm gonna have some steel cars, you know.
Yeah, we'll just fuck it, you know? Yeah, we'll just chop them up, you know? Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for tuning in. Bye. I knew I was forgetting something. I knew it. So, we also have to get 2 dealer tags, which was another almost $200, like $180, okay? And listen to this. This is the kicker, right? All dealer licenses in Florida expire in April, right? So we're in January. So these cockknockers would not give us a license until 2021. So this fucking license expires in 3 fucking months, right? So it expires in 3 months, and we have to pay a $75 renewal fee. Right. And all dealer tags also expire April of every year, and you cannot renew it for 2 years. So the tags that I just paid $180 for, I gotta fucking renew again in 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome to Florida. Thank you. Bye.